Thousands of barristers and solicitors have walked out of criminal courts in England and Wales. They are protesting against government proposals to cut £220 million from the legal aid budget, that is over the next 5 years or so. The Criminal Bar Association said the unprecedented action had been taken because anger, in their words, was at boiling point. Our legal affairs correspondent Clive Coleman has more details.
No legal aid cuts!
This hasn't happened before. Barristers and solicitors downing wigs and briefs and bringing the criminal courts to a standstill. They're careful not to call it a strike, but that's what many will think it is. They're protesting against the government's proposed reforms to legal aid. The government wants to cut £220 million from the legal aid budget. Lawyers' fees in very complex cases are due to be cut by 30%, and in other cases by around 17%. Barristers and solicitors say that this dispute is about more than just money. They say it's about the quality of legal advice and representation that any member of the public can expect.
Without people coming into the system, there will simply be nobody of ability to prosecute serious cases. Where will paedophiles and rapists be living? Not during the 100-year terms of which the government speaks, but I'm afraid next door to the public if their convictions fail. Janice Sharp's son, Gary McKinnon, received more than £250,000 in legal aid over a 10-year period to successfully challenge his extradition to the US on charges of hacking into government computers.
Without it, we would have lost Gary, and it's no exaggeration and it's not sensationalist to say he would have taken his own life. He would have, but because we had that hope and that trust, and it also gave us time to get more medical evidence, medical experts and so on, it was massively important.
But the government says the legal aid system is simply too expensive.
We are talking about taxpayers' money here, hard-working taxpayers whose money is going to the legal aid budget. And my responsibility is to ensure that that money goes as far as possible, and I'm confident that at the end of the day, the legal aid budget will be adequate to make sure that those who qualify for legal aid are properly represented.
This half day of action, though unprecedented, will delay, not jeopardise trials. But if this dispute isn't resolved, murder, rape and other trials due to start after April could be put at risk. Clive Coleman, BBC News.
Well, a very controversial issue, and with me is Forshaw QC, one of the country's leading barristers and leader of the South-Eastern Circuit in England. She's been campaigning against the changes. Sarah, indeed, you were here not long ago talking about this with me. Good to have you back. Thank you very much. The system's too expensive, and although you may not like the changes, you just have to accept that cuts have to be made.
Yes, undoubtedly. The problem is that we really don't have the most expensive legal aid system in the world. It's a mantra that's being trotted out time and time again. I'm afraid it's misleading. You can't compare apples with pears. If you compare our legal aid system with 14 other European countries on a like-for-like basis, we are in fact 10th cheapest. And what's more, the legal aid bill here has gone down by 20% over the last few years. So it's also wrong to say it's spiralling out of control, something also I've heard being said by some politicians who perhaps don't understand the justice system or have no experience of it. The truth is, the criminal bar at the moment are the specialist advocates who prosecute and defend, not just defend, prosecute as well, the most serious criminal cases in this country. Their fees have been cut by 41% in real terms. That's 41% over the last 6 years. It's become unsustainable for us. We're self-employed, and I'm afraid the true figures, not the ones being peddled so that the public, in fact, are fueled with indignation about it, the true figures are that 75% of the independent bar earn less than £50,000, and the median earnings, that is effectively not business turnover, but earnings of the bar, the median earnings are in fact something in the region of £28,000, just above the minimum wage.
Do you accept, I'm just looking at the statement from the Minister of Justice earlier, they say the system costs around £2 billion a year.
Yeah.
A, do you dispute that? And if so, they say at that figure, if you take that total figure, that does equate to being one of the most expensive in the world.
It is actually going down from 2 billion, yes, but of course we have a bigger population. We have an adversarial system with jury trial and the like. And what is more, the amount of money that goes to fees for the criminal bar is actually a very small drop in the ocean compared with the waste in the criminal justice system, which has nothing to do with the barristers who've been cut time and time again. It's to do with the efficient administration by the Ministry of Justice of the court system. And I mean outsourcing to Serco, to G4S, to Capita and the like, because wasted court time is what's kept costing the taxpayers money.
What are the implications of this extra wave of cuts if they're put through in this form?
It means that quality advocates will no longer be doing crime. Some chambers, I'm afraid, on my circuit are not even offering pupilages to do crime anymore. It means that quality advocates are diversifying. They're not doing state-funded crime anymore. They're going into the areas where they can actually earn a decent living for something that they've trained for upwards of 5 years to do, and incurred bills of something like £70,000 to get into this profession in the first place.
If coming out onto the streets, as we saw today in those remarkable scenes we saw earlier, reflecting strength of feeling obviously, if that doesn't bring any change, where does that leave you? And what are your options then?
They're completely alien. Normally the bar have dealt with cut after cut, nobly, without saying anything at all. What we need now is a pause. We need the Ministry of Justice to sit down and work with us to find savings within the system that won't destroy the criminal justice system by removing the specialist advocates, because that way the guilty really will walk free.
Sarah Forshaw, good of you to come in again. Thanks for talking. Thank you very much. Sarah Forshaw QC there.